Check your phone. Go on. Somewhere in there. An inbox you're avoiding? A shift you didn't choose? A schedule someone else built for you? Now rewind. Roughly 300,000 years, give or take. Same species, same brain, no inbox, no shift, no schedule. Not because life was easier back then, because having a job hadn't been invented yet. So what filled the day instead? Because it wasn't nothing. And, plot twist, it wasn't a permanent vacation either. Stick around. The real version breaks the movie completely. Picture early human life, and you already have the movie in your head. Spears, sprinting, a very convenient predator, waiting just off camera. Great movie, bad history. If every day really was a fight to survive, every hour on a blade's edge, the species wouldn't have lasted long enough to invent the wheel, let alone Wi-Fi. Constant panic doesn't build a future, it burns through one. So researchers tried something simple. They went and watched people who still live this way today. Communities in the Kalahari, groups in the forests of East Africa, still hunting and foraging for a living. What they found broke the whole premise. Feeding a family didn't eat the entire day. Some of the earliest studies put it at less raw time than plenty of office jobs demand right now. One anthropologist looked at that data and did something bold. He called hunter-gatherer life the original affluent society, out loud, in an academic paper, with a straight face. Not everyone bought it. Later researchers pointed out the math left things out. Food prep, firewood, hauling water, watching kids who will absolutely wander into a river given the chance. Add that back in, and the gap gets smaller. It doesn't vanish. But here's what survived the argument. Constant, miserable, non-stop labor was never the whole story. So if they weren't grinding every hour just to eat, what was actually eating the day? Try to picture a day with no schedule at all. No 9 to 5, no lunch break at exactly noon because a clock said so. Just the sun, the season, whatever actually needed doing. Morning might mean checking snares from the night before, or reading tracks in the mud left by something worth following. Afternoon might mean sitting still for hours, hands busy, twisting fiber into cord, or striking stone against stone until something sharp enough to split bone drops into your palm. None of that was a job, the way we use the word. Nobody clocked in, nobody got paid. There wasn't even a line between work and the rest of life, because nobody had drawn one yet. Tasks got shared out by whoever was around, not assigned by title. Nobody sat a kid down for training. A kid learning to track just walked next to someone older, watched, copied, got it wrong in front of everyone, and tried again tomorrow. No performance review. Mess up badly enough, and the animal just ran. That was the entire consequence. When the tasks were done, nobody invented more tasks to fill the space. Wild concept, we know. They rested, they talked. And that's exactly where the textbooks got it wrong. The old textbook version is tidy. Men hunted, women gathered, end of story. Real life was never that tidy. In 2018, a team digging into a burial site high in the Andes found a skeleton, roughly 9,000 years old, laid out next to a full hunting kit, the gear for taking down large animals. The skeleton belonged to a woman, barely out of her teens. That one grave kicked off a real fight in the field. Researchers went back and checked other ancient burials across the Americas, and kept finding more women buried the exact same way. Enough that rare exception stopped holding up. Some scholars still push back. A tool in a grave doesn't prove what someone did every day of their life, they argue, fairly. But the clean version, men do this, women do that, no exceptions, doesn't survive contact with the evidence. Roles bent around the environment, the season, whoever was actually good at the job in front of them. Turns out, nobody told the women they weren't supposed to hunt. There were roles, there weren't careers. No titles, no ladder to climb. Someone good with a blade made the tools. Someone good with words kept the story straight. Nobody clocked out of being that person, because there was no clock, and no out. Tools and roles are one half of this story. The other half never shows up in an inventory list. Picture one person, alone, in a cave, working by torchlight. They press a hand flat against cold stone, take a mouthful of ground pigment mixed with water, blow it in short bursts around their fingers. Pull the hand away. A print stays. Their print. Left on purpose. Tens of thousands of years pass. Someone else crawls into that same cave, flashlight instead of torch, sees the print. Without thinking, lifts their own hand and holds it up beside it. It nearly fits. We will never know that person's name, never hear their voice, or what made them laugh or furious. But for 1 second, across a gap of time too big to actually hold in your head, two hands almost touch. That's not survival. That's not a task on any list. That's someone, a very long time ago, simply refusing to disappear without a trace. That instinct didn't stop when the torch burned out. Daylight had tasks. Nightfall had something completely different. Once fire was under control, one of the first shared technologies our species ever pulled off, it didn't just cook food and keep predators back. It made a circle, a spot where everyone stopped moving and actually faced each other for once. A lot of the extra hours seemed to have gone right there, not into more chores, into people. Stories told so many times the rough edges wore smooth. Rules for living passed down with no paper to write them on, because paper didn't exist yet. Simple instruments too. Some of the oldest ones ever dug up are just flutes, carved from bird bone, tens of thousands of years old, found nowhere near a hunting ground or a battlefield. Just near people, sitting around, making a sound for no reason except that it felt good. One idea a few researchers take seriously. Talking itself might work a bit like grooming does for other primates. A way of holding a group together, minus the actual touching. Gossip, jokes, warnings about which berries will ruin your week. Quiet social glue, disguised as small talk. This isn't a peaceful utopia, so let's not pretend it was. Groups argued, groups split. A bad season could turn brutal fast, and it didn't land on everyone equally. But the evenings weren't empty. They were full, in their own strange, smoke and firelight way. That pattern, loose days, shared tasks, evenings built around each other, held for an enormous stretch of the story. Until it didn't. In a few separate corners of the world, with zero contact between them, groups of humans started doing something new, roughly 10,000 years ago, give or take. They stopped following the herd and started staying put. Planted seeds instead of just eating what grew wild. Stored grain instead of finishing it the same week it was found. Surplus sounds boring? It wasn't. Surplus meant someone could eat without hunting or gathering that day, as long as somebody else had done it for them. That's about the moment jobs, in something close to the modern sense, sneak into the picture. Not everyone needs to farm anymore. So someone starts guarding the grain. Someone starts deciding who plants what and where. Someone, for the first time in this entire story, just gives the orders without lifting a single tool. Roles that used to shift with the seasons locked into place. Titles, hierarchies, the blurry outline of a career, thousands of years before the word existed. More food, more safety, at least some of the time. And right alongside it, something that looks a lot like a boss. Humanity has been complaining about that second part ever since. Here's the uncomfortable part. We talk about work-life balance like it's a bug we just haven't patched yet. Like the right app, the right boss, the right schedule could finally fix it. But balance only means something if there are two separate things to balance in the first place. For nearly the entire span of our species, there weren't. Work and life were the same pile. Nobody split them apart, so nobody had to go looking for a way to stitch them back together. The 9-to-5 isn't ancient. It isn't wired into you. It's an invention, a fairly recent one, bolted onto a species that spent almost its whole existence doing something else completely. So next time Monday flattens you, here's what's actually happening. That feeling isn't human nature. It's a shift schedule, and it's a lot younger than you think.